appreciate you. We would like to take this time to center our hearts and minds and open up this very important meeting with a word of prayer. So all hearts and minds are clear. I just want to say thank you for coming out tonight. It's really important that you are taking the time out to be here, and we appreciate you. Give me 1 second, and we can begin the prayer. Good evening, everyone. Okay, all hearts and minds are clear. Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you this evening for allowing us to assemble here together for this very important and timely topic, road to the polls. Father God, you know what stands at stake for this upcoming election, and we just thank you for allowing women, the League of Women Voters, to come out and participate in this meeting. We also thank you, God, for our Assemblywoman, Verlena Reynolds Jackson, for continuing to keep her hand to the plow as it relates to issues and concerns of the community and for the people. Lord God, be with us in this meeting that it may be fruitful and informative, allowing each participant to go and share the information with someone that is not aware. Lord, thank you for blessing all the families that are represented here this evening. Continue to keep us all safe from all hurt, harm, and danger. And dear God, when you do these things, we'll be ever so careful to give you and you alone all the honor, all the glory, and all the praise. We pray this prayer and ask this blessing in your precious Son, Jesus Christ's name. Amen, amen, and amen.
Amen.
Thank you so much, Sorors. And at this time, I will turn it back over to Yaz. We would like to say welcome, welcome, welcome. We thank you for taking time out of this beautiful day, because we know you prefer to be outside, and be here with us tonight. Thank you so much, and welcome.
Yes. Thank you so much, Soror Johnson. I appreciate that. Thank you, everyone. Greetings and good evening to everyone that is present. Thank you to our panelists who are on the webinar this evening. And thank you to our technology team for being present with us also. My name is Yasmin Ali Gonzalez, and I am the co-chair of the Social Action Committee for the Trenton Alumni Chapter of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated. Our goal for this Road to the Polls webinar is to educate, organize, and activate our community in civic engagement. The purpose of this is to unite our efforts with reliable sources and partners that will help provide information and statistics to help us better understand the power in our vote. We need to gain a better understanding of the electoral process as well. The Social Action Committee was created for bringing awareness and fighting against the social injustices that plague our communities and our nation. The one way we help to fight some of these issues is by casting our votes. We want to encourage you all and everyone around us to please get involved, not just in this presidential election, but all election cycles. It is critical that we understand we as African Americans and Latino voters have the power to swing any election, and we have the power to make change. It is our duty and it is our charge to you that this webinar will teach us several ways to cast our votes, the impact that we have as women voters in any election, and we hope that you would take this information that is shared with you this evening and educate your neighbors, your family, friends, your young people, and the community. We want to encourage you not only to just cast your votes, but register people to vote. Check the statuses of those who say they are registered to vote, driving them to the polls if necessary, volunteering to make phone calls, knocking on doors, and most importantly, we would really charge you all to become a poll worker. There are not a lot of us who work the polls, and although we do not see the aggressiveness at the polls as much as we see or hear about in other states like Texas and Ohio and Georgia. But trust me, there are people who do not expect us to vote, and there are people who do not want us to vote. So it is our challenge to you that we get you out, you galvanize anyone that you possibly can and bring them to the polls with you. Please remember that there is strength in our numbers when we show up. Your commitment to civic engagement is needed more than ever at this time. We thank you all again for being present today, and I would love to turn it over now to who we call the People's Champ in the city of Trenton and Mercer County area, our Assemblywoman and my proud soror, Verlena Reynolds Jackson.
Thank you so much. Thank you, sorors. And good evening to the ladies of Delta Sigma Theta sorority, the trailblazers on this call, and visionaries today. I want to say welcome to the road to the polls, where we have special guests, County Clerk Paula Salome Cavello and Nicolette, I like to affectionately call her, Platt from the League of Women Voters from Lawrence Township, New Jersey. So in each and every one of you who are visionaries who decided it not robbery to be with us today. You know, today we stand at the crossroads of history and opportunity. Each one of you carries the legacy of your ancestors who dreamed of this moment, who fought tirelessly to fight for the right to vote. Your vote is more than just a choice on the ballot. It's a declaration of our power, a testament to your voice, a tribute to those who paved the way for us to stand here today. We are the daughters of resilience, the architects of change, the barriers of wisdom passed down through generation to generation. When we vote, we're not just shaping the next 4 years, we're crafting the legacy of a generation that will follow us. Our votes are the seeds of change, planted in fertile grounds of that will shape the hopes and dreams of the next generation. Remember, your voices have the power to echo in the halls in Washington, D.C., New Jersey, and in the towns we live in. We can shape policies and illuminate the issues that matter most to our communities. When we vote, we're just not participating in democracy. We are the backbone. We ensure that it reflects the diverse tapestry of our experiences and our aspiration. According to the Center of Women in Politics at the Eagleton Institute, their 2024 report, Gender Difference in Voter Turnout, says women have registered and voted at higher rates than men in every presidential election since 1980. With the turnout gap between women and men growing slightly larger with each successive presidential election. Women come out to vote because we're passionate about healthcare. We often prioritize our access for affordability and comprehensive health, including reproductive rights, maternal health, cancer treatment, heart disease, stroke, and supportive services for our family because we're mostly caregivers. We're passionate about education. We want to make sure our children have the best education, access to higher education, and support those educators who are often critical for women coming out to vote. We're passionate about economic equality. This includes equal pay for equal work. It includes career opportunity. It includes opportunities to gain capital to start and grow businesses. It's about affordable childcare, policies that support the work-life balance that we all desperately need. We're passionate about stopping the violence against women, the policies and measures that address domestic violence, sexual harassment, assault on many of us. We are passionate about that, and that brings more women out to vote. We're passionate about family issues related to family leave, childcare, early childhood education, and elder care is also critical to us. We're passionate about climate change and the environment. We often show strong support for policies that's aimed at environmental justice, addressing climate change, and these issues have significant impact on our families and our communities. We're passionate about social justice, civil rights, voting rights, police reform, racial equality, and LGBTQ rights are also important to us. We're passionate about our retirement security, ensuring the stability of Social Security and access to our retirement plans can be a significant concern, and that leads us older women out to vote. So every year, various issues bring us out to cast our ballots. So let's march to those polls no later than Tuesday, June the 4th, with our heads held high and our spirits unbroken. Stacey Abrams said our power lies in our ability to make decisions and to act upon them. When women vote, we shape the future. Our voices are essential and participation is critical. Our voices are powerful. Voting is just not choosing leaders. It's about asserting our worth, our values, and our ability to influence the world to what we want to see. So I thank you, sorors, for having me here today, but I'm not going to be the only one speaking. We have two phenomenal people here. And next, I want to introduce Nicole Platt from the League of Women Voters of Lawrence Township. And the league includes municipalities of Trenton, Lawrence, Ewing, and Hamilton. Our values state, because I'm a member there also, and I encourage you to join, we believe in the power of women to create a more perfect democracy. And our mission is to empower voters, defend democracy, and provide voter services. So with that, sorors and friends, I'm going to turn it over to the esteemed Nicole.
Thank you so much, Felina. Thank you both for that rousing and encouraging comments about the vital importance of voting and for giving me such a nice introduction. Yes, I'm co-chair with Kate Schumacher of the League of Women Voters of Lawrence, and we appreciate our members in Trenton, Ewing, and Hamilton also. We have kind of a big pool. So we're co-chairs, and Kate was planning to be here tonight, but she got called away to Newark for work. And I'm going to do my best to present her slides because she did a really nice job of responding to the questions that you sent us ahead of time regarding women's participation and influence in the polls and the influence of Black voters. So I'm going to share my screen and talk you through these slides that we have. And I think that should do it. Thank you. So here we are getting started. I'm going to give you data from Mercer County, the state of New Jersey, and nationally. Felina almost stole my thunder with our first slide here, because on the left, we have participation by sex in the congressional elections, and on the right, participation in the presidential elections. As you can see, none of these slides are going to be like brilliantly legible to you, so I'm just going to highlight the main points. Specifically, you'll see that female voter registration, the red line is above the male registration, and female turnout, also the red line exceeds male turnout. One thing to really notice on these slides, and these are from the United States Census Bureau, so they're national, but one thing to really notice is that registration exceeds turnout. So when it comes to election day, the biggest mandate really nowadays of the League of Women Voters has been getting out the vote, getting our registered voters to the polls, because the state of New Jersey has made it much easier to register with their website and their online voter registration. You can check your voter status there. So The days are gone when we used to simply have to travel all around the state with our paper forms. Now, New Jersey voters have much easier access to get registered or check their registration. And of course, you have to re-register each time you move your home or your apartment. The next slide, as you can see, is voter participation rates. And unfortunately, taking a broad look at the left-hand slide, which is 1980 to 2016, you see the ups and downs of participation by race or ethnic origin. The turquoise blue line is the participation of Black voters, and it was on a very significant upswing. Of course, 2012 was the election of President Barack Obama, and we had a peak there. Unfortunately, in 2016, the participation of Black voters fell off, and we would like to see that, go back again at full force. On the right here, it's so interesting because it's voters by age, and the lowest up and down graph that you see here on this right-hand slide are voters aged 18 to 29. The Census Bureau is happy to tell us that even though that group is voting at numbers which are under 50% of their potential, there is beginning to be an increase in the participation of millennials. Now, any of you who know a millennial, have a child or a grandchild who is going to turn 18, I usually say 18 to 24, if those young people would register and vote at the numbers that they're entitled to, they would be the largest voting bloc in the United States. So very important to tell young people, you really could be determining what goes on around here. The next slide, which I must apologize, is the fuzziest, but we're only going to look at the solid lines that are going horizontally here. The dark one is women voting for Democratic candidates. That's the top line. The other solid line is women voting Republican. Not a lot to see here except that that women are voting in good numbers, but the distinction between gender in voting does seem to have begin to close around 2012. Now we'll touch on the racial demographics of the state of New Jersey. And I wanted, it's a little bit sobering to look at this bar graph, just the simple four-colored bar graph that you see there in the middle of the screen. In this bar graph, the yellow or ochre segment is your white voters in New Jersey. Your purple segment, which is the next largest segment, but it's significantly smaller, and those are our Black New Jersey voters. The blue or turquoise segment down at the bottom of the bar graph are Hispanic voters, and the pale purple bar across the top are Asian voters. And in case you were wondering, this is really just kind of a factoid. This is the presidential popular vote over time in Mercer County from the years 2000 on the far left to 2020 on the far right. And you probably know Mercer County as a blue county, but it's gotten more blue. We have a little bit of Green Party top left and a little bit of Libertarian and other parties top right. Let's see, am I getting a message? Oh, I may be incorrect. Or let's did I interpret this wrong? No, I do think that the purple area in this racial demographics are Black or African American voters, not Hispanic.
It said white, purple.
Well, it's so small that I can only do
You
my
have to look at
best.
the key to the right.
The
Yeah.
key was on the right. Yeah, Dr. Donnie is purple.
Okay, because I was looking at the percentages with the colors. Thanks.
Yeah, check the key to the right.
Yeah. Now, this was kind of an optimistic projection from the Pew Research Center about the growing number of Black eligible voters who would be voting in 2024. And it indicates that there should be a 7% increase in Black eligible voters at the same time that we'll see a 12% increase in Hispanic voters and a 15% increase in Asian voters, for an overall total increase for our 2024 election of 3%. And this is my last sort of data slide, and it's trying to tell us, and again, I apologize, it's so tiny, but it's the numbers cited in that top row that is marked in red are eligible voters times thousands. So that would be in thousands unless otherwise specified. And here it tells us that well, I'm not very good at this slide. This was Kate's slide, and maybe when we get to the Q&A, somebody else will like to talk about, but it appears to say that Black voters are voting at a 69% rate. And when you consider that the women Black voters are exceeding the male Black voters, once again, as Valina said, Black women voters have potentially a lot of power. We did have a question about voting for those who were previously convicted of a felony. And I just hope everybody on this call knows that formerly incarcerated people can now vote in New Jersey, regardless of whether they are on probation or parole. We do not yet have voting for incarcerated people, but the League of Women Voters does support that. 17-year-olds, we had a question about that, and this is kind of key. I think I still have another minute to go, so I'll just touch on this. Currently, you may register to vote when you are 17 years old, even though you may not vote if you are not 18 on election day, whether that would be primary election day in June 2024 or general election day in November 2024. However, on January 1st of this year, a new bill was made into law, the New Voter Empowerment Act, which takes effect January 1, 2026. This allows 17-year-olds to register and vote. The 17-year-old may vote in New Jersey's primary elections, provided that they will turn 18 before the general elections. And then anecdotally, we're all very excited that Newark has invited its 16-year-olds to vote in their school board elections. And those are my prepared remarks. And there is a lot going on, and we're always looking for members and non-members to help us register voters. And if you want our help, just go to our website, www.lwvlt.org.
Thank you so much for all of that information, Nicole. Just to give a background to some people, we did send questions ahead of time, but we do want to open up the floor. If you want to place a question inside of the chat, or Sora Nakir, if you see any questions on the Facebook Live, please feel free to place them in the chat so we can ask her while she's still on. I don't see any new ones, but I just also want to clarify, Ms. Nicole, if you don't mind. So you just stated that anyone who has been incarcerated, whether they're on probation or not, they are eligible to vote. Is that correct? Did I hear that correctly? Okay.
Absolutely. They should register and they should vote. And of course, also to remind your listeners that a lot of people find voting by mail very convenient.
Thank you for that information. It was all great. And again, we just want to encourage everyone just to register people and get not only just register, but make sure that they get to the polls so that way we can make an impact, especially in this upcoming election. The chat will still remain open, but I do want to introduce our next panelist who will share some information, also some timeline of as far as where we can vote, when we can vote, and how we can vote. And that is none other than our Mercer County Clerk, Ms. Paula Cavello, who has been our county clerk now for 18 years. And she's been phenomenal as far as I've known her. And I just want to say thank you for all of the work that you have done, Ms. Paula. I know it's not an easy task. We've been through some challenges in the last 1 or 2 elections, and I just want to say thank you because, like I said, I know it's not an easy task or easy job to do, and you do it very well. So we want to welcome you and thank you for being here with us this evening.
Thank you so much, Jazz, for having me, and thank you to the Deltas. And it's just an honor to be here. And I want to say, before I even start, I want to say that thank you to Assemblywoman Verlena Reynolds Jackson for all that you've done to, help to promote voting in the legislature. There have been so many new bills that have been passed of late to make it easier to vote in New Jersey and to make more people eligible to vote, as Nicole was discussing. And that's just a wonderful thing, because throughout the United States, you're seeing states trying to push back and cut back voting rights. And it's terrible what's happening. They're saying that people can go to jail for giving somebody water for standing in line in Georgia, and many other things are, other ways like ID laws that are trying to restrict and intimidate people from registering and voting. But not New Jersey. New Jersey is doing the opposite. We're increasing the ability of people to vote. We're lowering the ages. We're allowing people on probation and incarceration to vote. So things in New Jersey are looking up. And I credit our legislature for that, because they're passing all these new laws. And this year, being a presidential election, it's going to be really critical that people do vote. And I mean, it's so important every year. But this year, we always see more people voting, and it's exciting. So what I wanted to do, and what you've asked me to do, is talk about the options in voting. We have three ways to vote now in New Jersey. We don't just have to go to the polls on election day. And that can be difficult for people because, yes, the polls are open from 6 a.m. to 8 p.m. on election day, but we also have other options. So if somebody's working that day, they can exercise one of those other options. For example, vote by mail. Vote by mail is available to anyone who wants to vote in Mercer County by filling out an application. You can fill it out and vote for one election, or you can vote for any upcoming election permanently. You'll get a ballot every election if you sign up to do that. So we ask that if you're interested in voting by mail, every vote gets counted. People think that we don't count vote by mail ballots if the election is not close. That is not true. We count every single vote by mail ballot. And so it's very convenient. You can have it sent to your house, fill it out, and send it in, or put it in a Dropbox, and we'll send it right to you. This is the first screen is the voting integrity of Mercer County, and I have the names of the 3 election officials that we have in Mercer County, and that's myself, the county clerk, Paula Salome Cavello. The Board of Elections, it's a bipartisan commission of 2 Democrats and 2 Republicans, and the chair is Jill Moyer. So because we have a bipartisan commission, they look at paper ballots and they determine whether or not a paper ballot should be counted if there's any question. So people who are concerned about one party rule, they don't have to worry. Both parties are weighing in on those. And then our superintendent of elections is Walker M. Worthy Jr. He just became superintendent last year, but he was formerly my deputy for 16 years. So I know he knows elections very well. So we're all working really well together, and we're looking forward to this upcoming year. So we go forward. And Nicole covered registration, so we'll go forward from that. But you do need to be registered in order to vote. That's the first step. Secondly, as I said, you can vote by mail. I have here the different ways that you can do that. When you vote by mail, you need to make sure that ballot is postmarked by 8 p.m., not November 7th, but June 4th. It's the primary election, and received to us. We have secure drop boxes throughout the county where you can drop off that ballot. And I'm going to go through and show you those drop boxes now so that you can see the locations for Mercer County's drop boxes. Okay, that's what a drop box looks like. And they're in all of these locations: East Windsor, Ewing. We have 3 locations in Ewing. Ewing Township Municipal Building, TCNJ, and the Parkside Avenue, which is the county facility. There's a drop box there. It's Mercer County Office Park, it's called. It's next to ShopRite. In Hamilton, we have 2 locations. Sorry, 3 locations. Okay. Heightstown, Hopewell, Lawrence, Princeton, Robbinsville. There are 4 locations in Trenton. Actually, I fought very hard for that because I know a lot of people don't drive in Trenton. So we have the county clerk's office. We have one in front of my office. We have one in front of Trenton City Hall at the clerk's office. There's one at the Henry J. Austin Center on Warren Street, and there's one at Trenton High. And then lastly, we have one at West Windsor. And the great thing about these drop boxes is you can go to any one of them to drop off your ballot. You don't have to go to the one in your town. So if you work in another town, for example, you live in Lawrence and you work in Princeton, you can drop it off in Princeton. So that's a really convenient thing. It just has to be in by 8 p.m. on election day. Okay. And then the next option we have is early voting. Early voting is voting on a voting machine prior to the election. So for the upcoming primary, we do have early voting. It's shorter for a primary, but we have it in a primary and we have it in a general. So for the primary election, the dates are May 29th through June 2nd. So you can go to an early voting center and you can vote in any of the early voting centers and cast your ballot on a machine. So that's something that people don't know. And I know even my staff members were excited about it. They're like, oh, we can do this? I'm like, yeah, you can vote early. You just, go to any of these early voting centers, go in. The hours are Monday through Saturday, 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. And on a Sunday, it's 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. You don't have to have an appointment, and we have disability provisions, so anybody can vote. So here are the early voting locations. I will put a caveat in that. I spoke with the Board of Elections Chair, Jill Moyer, this morning, and Jill said Princeton's might change a little bit. It's probably still going to be at the shopping center, but it might be in a different location. And Trenton's may change as well. And if that happens, I will be updating my website and they will be updating theirs. But this is the currently this is where they are located, and the others will not change. So this is the early voting schedule for the upcoming primary below, May 29th to June 2nd. And our third option to vote is at the polls on election day. And one thing that I want to just remind everyone of is that your polling location can be found on your sample ballot. And my office mails out sample ballots about a week before the election. And you can look on the corner and you can see where you're supposed to vote. Also, the state has a really great website for elections. It's the New Jersey Division of Elections website. And it has your polling location there at vote.nj.gov, but also it has a little search, as you can see below. You can put your address in, it'll give you your polling location. But that site also has other information. Like if you want to register to vote, you can go on the New Jersey vote.nj.gov and you can register in Mercer County. And you can also get a vote by mail application on vote.nj.gov. So I love that site. It's wonderful. The state really does a good job of coordinating things for Mercer, things for Middlesex. You just go to your county and you'll be able to pull up your forms. So it's very, very good. So I wanted to let you know about that. And then next, I want to tell you, because I only have a few minutes, but I thought it was important to tell everyone that Mercer County has new voting machines. So we used to have, the former machines that we had a few years ago, which were, you hit a button, and it would, an X, and the screen would close, and then you would cast your vote by hitting a button. But what we did in Mercer is we purchased new machines they have a paper trail, and they say that a paper trail is the safest way to vote because it allows you to have a backup of paper. So not only are you hitting a button and we're getting your vote through that machine, but we also have the backup of the paper. So if something goes wrong with the machines, we're going to have that backup to go count and audit the results. So it's really considered the gold standard in voting. So I wanted to just let you know that we have those. So this is our new ballot marking device. We have not used these in the general election yet. These ballot marking devices, you walk into the voting machine, you choose your choice, it will then print your ballot out. And then you can check your ballot, make sure it's exactly how you wanted it. And then after that, you can put it through a scanner. So I'm going to show you the scanner now. And you probably have seen these. This is the scanner. After you've printed out your ballot and you made your choices, you then insert it right into the scanner and it will count your vote. But we'll have that paper backup inside the drum. So if there's any question or problem about the election, we can go back and check the paper. So sorry, that's my dog. He must see a squirrel. So that's what Mercer County has done. We're really excited about it, and we're looking forward to using the machines in this upcoming election. These are just sample ballot links this is from 23. And the last thing I wanted to talk about real briefly, if I could, is the Track My Ballot app. So also on that newjersey.vote.nj.gov website I told you about, there's an app where you can track your ballot. So if you get a vote by mail ballot, it'll show you when it was mailed out. It'll show you when it came back to the Board of Elections, and it will let you know at the end of the election if it was counted or not. So, we have some really great tools all provided to us by the state, and also as I said, the legislature who's made it, easier for people to vote and make it more accessible for people to vote. So I just want to, reiterate what Nicole said. This is a really critical time. Your vote really matters. Elections can be won or lost on one to several votes. I've seen it as county clerk in my years. As I said, I'm in my 4th term of election, and I've served for 18 years. I've seen many elections, local elections mostly, that have been won or lost by one vote. So it's so important that you vote. And I want to thank you so much. And at the end, I'm happy to take questions. And here is my information, as well as the Board of Elections information and the superintendents. And the 3 of us all have different responsibilities with regard to elections. So, and we work really well together. So if you're calling about registration, that would be Walker Worthy's office. If you're calling about poll workers and or you don't like your polling location, you can call Jill Moyer. And then my office handles ballot printing, and we count votes on the machines. So that's basically the 3 offices. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for that, Ms. Paula. I'm going to have Sora Jessica just check the chat and see if there are any questions. But I did have one question. As far as the poll workers, how early can someone apply to become a poll worker if they're interested in working in an election?
We would love to have them apply right now. For example, you can apply now, and we do need poll workers for the primary that's coming up June 4th. And we're short as it is. And we also are very short with Spanish speaking poll workers. And we need more and more of them, because you're supposed to have bilingual poll workers at the bilingual locations. And we don't have enough. We don't even have enough poll workers to staff the county. So we would love to have more poll workers. Additionally, like if you don't want to work in this election, you can still sign up for November now and just let them know you want to work in November.
Okay, that's good to know.
Yeah.
I want to encourage everyone, please, we got to consider also working the polls. As she said, there is a shortage of workers, and that is necessary. As I stated earlier, we don't see a lot of the aggressiveness that we see in other states, but it is happening. As we know, the presidential election is going to be very, very critical. And we are expecting people to challenge everybody that comes to the voting polls. They are trying to keep us from voting. So we need more poll workers who are there, who are trained and can help our people make sure that they are able to vote at that specific day. So Jessica, I just want to open it up to you to see if you had any questions that you want to share from the chat.
Okay, there was several comments to start that I love the early voting, no waiting line. The new machines are extremely user-friendly. The question that is listed, the first question that is listed is, how can we encourage more people to vote?
Nicole, do you want to take that one?
Sorry, did you say I should say something about that?
Well, the
Because
League of Women Voters is the, you're always promoting voting, so I thought you.
I do think it's not that difficult to encourage people to vote if you think very practically and talk to them about the way that the people we elect to government influence their lives. To young people, you know, who say, oh, I'm not interested in government. Oh, I don't like politicians. And we'll say, the cost of your student loan is determined by your elected officials. The amount that your credit card company is allowed to charge you for a late payment is determined by an elected official. Your cell phone bill, and of course, for older people, if it's do you like your Medicare? Or there are so many very practical items that sometimes get overlooked when people just use voting as such a general kind of idea.
Thank you, Nicole.
Think about it I like to think about it in terms of advocacy. You know, if you're passionate about heart care, or you're passionate about the environment or housing, or, whatever your passion is, you look for those to represent your passions. And so I want to support them because they support women's heart health, or they support economic justice, or they support police reform. So it's trying to make the linkage between, why you're going to the polls. Is not just going to cast a blanket ballot, but you're going to cast your voice, your concerns, what you're interested in, what you're fighting for, and what you want your representatives to work on while they're there. So I think we have to think about it in those type of concepts, like Nicolette said.
Okay, thank you. Another question that is in the chat. There have been numerous complaints about timely payments for working the polls. Has that been improved?
I can address, although my office doesn't handle poll workers, I will say that it is a problem. We've gotten calls about it. The Board of Elections handles polls, but they have, they go through the county and the county purchasing department. And the county makes everyone fill out a lot of forms in order to get their payment. And I'm just hopeful. We have a new county executive. We had Brian Hughes was our county executive, and I loved him and I worked with him for many years. But now we have a new county executive, and he brought in a whole new set of finance people. So we're trying to explain to them that we need a more user-friendly way to pay poll workers. And we're trying to ask to get them to agree to maybe doing 1099 forms for poll workers, because those are faster. People can get paid quicker, and rather than putting everybody through the county system, which I think has created the slowness of the process. So we're trying to come up with a new way that we can advocate for the new county administration to sort of follow. So I can't say it's happened yet, but we're working on that to sort of advocate that they do something else, because I agree with you. It is too slow. It's too slow. People should not have to wait that long to get paid. So we're trying to get these people to do something different.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Another question, does one have to live in Mercer County to work at the polls?
You would have to live in Mercer County to work at our polls in Mercer County, but every county needs poll workers. So if you live in New Brunswick, you can work for Middlesex County and be a poll worker there. We need them everywhere. There's a shortage throughout the state.
Okay. Another question, will voter registration be connected to new driver's license?
There was that was
is.
one of my first bills.
Yeah.
When you register to your license, it's still there. You can opt in or opt out to participate in it, and it has gotten much better through times. There were some tweaks they had to make to it, but you can still register to vote through your driver's license.
Yes.
Thank you. How old do you have to be to work the polls?
You can be 16 years old to work the polls. 16 and 17-year-olds do work the polls. They generally do half days, but you are able to do it. We have high school students that do it. And they get 150 if they do the half day, and it's 300 for the full day. So we would love to have more students. In fact, some of the Board of Elections is looking into getting high school credits for the students as well, thinking that it might be like a form of community service for them, and the high schools might give them credit. So I know that's something in the works. I'm all for it. It's a great idea. Anything we can do to encourage poll workers. And the funny thing about it is often the high school students are so technically savvy that they make some of the best poll workers, because they can get right in there and figure out how to use those e-poll books quickly. And we really like having the students. Speaking of that, I just want to thank Kara Day on here. She's the Mercer County IT person for the clerk's office, and she helps count the votes. So she wanted to say hi. I want to thank her for her help tonight.
Okay, thank you. Another question, $300 is not enough for a full day. Any talks of increasing the pay to make it more a more lucrative job?
Back to democracy. We need 41 votes and 21 in the Senate. We tried to raise it up. I think it was to $450, and the compromise was the $300 mark. So, and that hadn't been raised in it was a long time. I want to say like 20 some years. So we just did it recently, but let's keep on fighting for it. I look forward to seeing some support.
What are the hours?
The polls, the hours are 6 a.m. to 8 p.m. on election day. And then early voting, it's 10 a.m. on the weekdays to 8 p.m. And on Sundays, it's 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. That's for early voting. But polls are open 6 a.m. to 8 p.m.
Thank you. Sarah White, did I miss anything? Do you have any questions?
No questions on Facebook.
Okay, so if you decide to work the polls, you have to be available the entire time.
You can work a half day, or you can work a full day. So if you call the Board of Elections and you say you wanted to work on election day, they would give you either 6 a.m. to 12 p.m. or 1 p.m. or the 1 p.m. to 8 p.m. So you have to choose. And they might not grant your wish. They might say, well, we don't have any evening hours, but we have early hours. So, you have to be assigned through the Board of Elections, but you can work a half day or you can work a full day. It's 300 for a full day and 150 for a half.
Okay. How often so you send out public service announcements?
My office sends out press releases throughout, during an election. We update our website often. And we also, rely on the other two offices and like other elected officials. So we all work together to make sure people know about voting, how to vote, when to vote. But my information goes out through press release and through the website mainly. We're also going to do some radio ads this year in Spanish because we see that Trenton, we're seeing a real low turnout in Trenton. It's going down. In the last local election, they had 8% turnout. So we're going to really do some to try to beef that up a bit.
Also say, Paula, we all have great social media. Paula's on social media.
Yes.
I'm on social media. The League of Women Voters is on social media. Like us, follow us. We put stuff out all the time. I'm very passionate about voter education and awareness. I share lots of information from Paula's office and from the League of Women Voters and the Secretary of State's website. Yaz, if you'll put in the chat the link that I sent you, it gives you the links to all the things that Paula talked about: registration, verifying your register, your polling location. All of these things are there, tracking your ballot. It's so you just scan the QR code and it pops up. They even have an app. If you do New Jersey elections for your Apple or your Android, you can get the app as well. And I absolutely love it because I get calls starting at 5 and 5:30 a.m. from folks that say, where is my polling location? And this app will tell you that, and you can help a friend too.
Yeah, that website that I showed you, vote.nj.gov, yes, it's also in an app. That's exactly what she's talking about. It's great. It's fantastic. And it's on my website, that the app as well. So if you want to go to that, you can. And our website is mercercounty.org, www.mercercounty.org, and click on county clerk, and you can go to elections and you can see all the information. So, and I agree, Verlene is always out there on Facebook and social media. I'm out there constantly posting, and we try to share information. But, it's still a process. What we've learned is that we continually blast and blast and blast to get that information, but it helps if all of you share it because it's hard to get to everyone. So I appreciate that.
Thank you. How can you become a master board worker?
The Board of Elections chooses the master board workers based on their performance as board workers. Like if they see that somebody's, been a really outstanding board worker and really knows what they're doing, the Board of Elections will then promote them to master board worker. So it's not something that you just say, oh, I want to be a master board worker. It's something that they will recognize in you, and then you become one. Although if you've been a board worker for more than one occasion, you can tell them you're interested in moving up, and I'm sure they would consider that.
Yeah, it's a process. They have to take a test. And I think it's between 5 and 10 years experience. And now that we have these new voting machines and ebooks and things like that, they want to make sure that you're confident. And it's kind of like train the trainer. So you have to know what you're doing in order to be able to assist other people and go to different locations. So, but there is a process. I know some people that didn't wait 10 years. They were able to take the test and they were able to become master poll workers.
Yeah, if they think you're a good board worker, a really good board worker, they'll make you one. They have master board workers that go from poll to poll on election day, and then they have them at the early voting sites, so they can sort of be the help desk for the poll workers. So you have to have some experience before you can become one.
Okay, thank you. As a poll worker, is this by county or throughout the state? And do you have the opportunity to select the area you would like to work in?
Poll workers?
Yes.
County by county. Your Board of Elections in every county would be the place to go. And they will give you you sign up through them.
So are you able to select which area you like to work in?
No,
No.
they assign you. You can give them your preference, and if they try to accommodate you, but you can't be guaranteed that. So if you're from Ewing and you want to work in Ewing, you can ask, but that doesn't mean you're getting it. You might get assigned to Hopewell or Trenton or somewhere.
Okay. Okay. Are poll workers taxed for hours paid?
They are at the current time. That's why we're trying to convince the new administration that maybe it could be like a 1099 where they do their own taxes, because they are taking taxes out at the current time.
Will you be doing a poll workers registration drive?
The Board of Elections is doing that. They go to the different colleges and high schools. They bring the flyers. And if you notice, they have signs up all around Mercer County, like billboards. And I've seen them, like there's one on Route 1 on the highway. There's one in Trenton. So they're trying to get the word out that they're looking for poll workers.
Okay. A question that was also asked in the chat, but it was answered, but I'll read it anyway. For early voting, can this be done in any town in Mercer County or just the town you reside in? And Nicole had answered that. You can use early voting machines in any town in Mercer County.
Thank you so much.
Okay, I have a couple more questions.
Can we have time for about one more, Sora Jessica? Stay on
Okay.
schedule.
Just probably, yeah, one. Okay. Where do you have to go to make corrections to your name on your voter ID?
Okay, you need to go to the Superintendent of Elections office. That's Walker Worthy's office. It's the 640 South Broad Street, which is the county administration building. And you can go in there and you can make your changes. And I strongly recommend that if you think that your signature has changed, that you make that change and update your signature, because we see votes getting rejected if your signature doesn't match the signature that you had on you when you registered to vote. And that is not something you want to have happen. You don't want to have your vote, not counted because your signature changed. So if you feel that it might have, go update your signature with the Superintendent of Elections so that your vote will count.
Okay, thank you. Again, if anyone still have any remaining questions, please continue to put them in the chat or get them to us. And as you can see, I think Sarah Gonzalez did put links into the chat. So just because we stopped the question and answer period, if you have any questions, please continue to seek your answers. That concludes the question and answer period. Sarah Gonzalez.
Thank you so much, Sora Jessica. And thank you so much, Paula, Nicole, Assemblywoman Berlina. We really, really appreciate all of the information that you shared with us this evening. Again, we cannot state how important it is for us to truly get involved. And like we said, not just going out to vote. Voting is important, yes, but we really want to encourage you to invite someone to come with you. Make sure they're getting registered, as we're going to launch another initiative as each one reach one, and each one will register one before this summer is out. And so we just want to thank everyone for being here. But before we go, we do have a survey that we would like you to partake in. And then we have a few remarks from our SORA President, Morella Holmes.
Good evening, everyone. First of all, thank you for sharing your time and your information. We do this work collaboratively and in a partnership. Thank you, Paula Covello, for all your hard work that you do in Mercer County. We go back a long way. Thank you so much. And also thank you, Nicole Pellet, for all the work that the League of Women Voters do. Thank you for that information, because now you've given us, as we do our strategic planning as a sorority, you've given us the demographic that we need to go through and sort of be very intentional. And that's that 18 to 24 demographic, to make sure not only they're registered, but make sure they vote, because we understand how impactful voting is, but particularly this year, this election. I know we've been saying that for the last 8 years, but I think, and thank you so much for Nicole, how you talked about, connecting your vote to what interests you. I think, that's another way to engage, particularly that age group, but also stressing the fact that we can register, but you have to vote. So thank you for the information. We are partners in this body of work. We are partners in Mercer County. And also, we can't do any of this without you, Assemblywoman Verlina. Thank you for everything. You show up and show out, and you in those spaces to be what we are. And those are the change agents, because we are who? The women of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated, because we're all about a change in our community. Great job, Social Action. Great job, sorry, Yasmin, Yas, and your committee for making this very impactful informational session. But now it's time to do the work.
Now we have to do the work. So God bless you, and we look forward to continued partnership. But now we got to do the work. Got to do the work.
Thank you so much for that, SOAR President, and thank you for being here this evening. I'm also going to allow our SOAR Chair, Anita, to say a few words. I have also placed the link in the chat for our survey. Please, can you complete that as we welcome our Chair, Anita Wimple.
Thank you, Sora. Yes, thank you everyone for participating and hanging in there. Great information, ladies, as always. Valina, you know, we thank you from the bottom of our hearts for always pushing us forward and making sure we have the correct information and getting it out there in the communities. To my fabulous Social Action Committee, y'all work this thing, so I appreciate y'all so much. And you're right, Sora Morella, it's time to do the work. So let's go, let's get it. Thank you. And please fill out the survey. You should find it in the chat, the link in the chat. Please complete the survey. And we look forward to seeing you at the polls. Back to you, Yaz.
That's all I have. I just want to allow at least 3 or 4 minutes for people to please complete the survey. It was placed in the chat. I will place it once again. Again, we thank you all for being present. It says survey is requesting access. So Regina, is there any way you can allow access for the Google form for the survey?
No, I can't. I did not create it.
That was the link that you sent us to have placed in the chat.
I'm gonna, we're gonna stop the Facebook Live.